want to first of all thank all of you for coming out on this nice, warm Mississippi day for this wonderful occasion for Mississippi State athletics as we welcome our new head baseball coach, Coach Chris Lemonis, that we're about to introduce here momentarily. Coach, I want to welcome you personally. We had a chance to have breakfast with he and his wonderful family, Jill and Kinsey, this morning, and we're welcoming Marissa and her friend Dan here with us today. They drove all night to get here, Marissa and her friend, from Columbia, South Carolina, just to be here this morning. So thank you for being here. This is a family occasion. Mississippi State is a wonderful family, and we welcome you to this great family. And, of course, baseball is part of who we are at Mississippi State University. I want to first of all congratulate our young men for the outstanding performance that they had this season for Mississippi State baseball and our coaching staff, Coach Gary Henderson. These young men and these coaches could have given up during this season, but they persevered, and it showed you the grit and the tenacity of these young men and their commitment to doing well for Mississippi State. I am so proud of them and what they've accomplished for our program. You know, Mississippi State, when you think about our university, and we're part of the Southeastern Conference, and we're very proud of that. When people think about the University of Alabama, they tend to think about football. People think about the University of Kentucky, they tend to think about basketball. But when people think about Mississippi State, with all due respect to all of our other outstanding athletic programs and the successes that we're having right now, most people think about baseball because of our rich tradition of winning and success here at Mississippi State and our commitment to excellence. That's what we're about here today, and recognizing our new head baseball coach. And I was telling the coach this morning at breakfast, you know, that our expectations here are very, very, very high, right? Very high. But there's no pressure. When you think about the commitment from the administration, from all of you, our fans who love this university, who love our baseball program, to our commitment from just right over my shoulder, the finest baseball stadium in all of college athletics. We're committed to having the best of the best so that we can succeed and bring championships to Mississippi State University, and that's what we're committed to. But it takes leadership to do all of this, obviously, and we're certainly blessed to have the most outstanding, the most intense, the most passionate athletic director in all the Southeastern Conference. And oh, by the way, the Southeastern Conference is the best athletic conference in all the nation. So we're very blessed in that respect. This is a guy that not only played baseball here, played in a College World Series, coached here, coached in a College World Series, was athletic director in a College World Series. It was also a radio color commentator in a College World Series. This is a guy that knows what it's about, and he's leading our entire athletic program. We were making decisions about who would be leading our program. We were thinking about for the next decade and beyond, okay? And that's what he's looking at. I have full confidence in him making the right decision, which he has, and I am fully supportive of John Cohen. Y'all please join me in welcoming the best athletic director in the Southeastern Conference, John Cohen.
I do, as Dr. Keenum mentioned before, I want to thank our players and their parents at Mississippi State. About 4 months ago, I met with our players, and we went through a tough time in February of this season. And I told them at that point in time that they could either come together and make a negative into a positive, or it could just be a negative all season long. But those players who spent 18 or so years with those parents those rock-solid households came together and created one of the most awe-inspiring years in Mississippi State baseball history, and I'm just so proud of them and what they accomplished. I'm so proud of our coaching staff and what they accomplished. I want to thank Gary Henderson quickly as well. I've known Gary for a long time. I know Gary has had support from our community, and I appreciate that. I spent more time with Gary Henderson at the University of Kentucky than I spent with my wife and my children. And I can tell you, I have nothing but positive things to say about Gary Henderson. But when I was charged with making this decision and moving our program forward, I couldn't allow personal feelings. I couldn't allow friendship. I couldn't let anything interfere with the fact that we had to move this program forward for the next 10 years. And that's what I was committed to doing. I want to mention something about this process. I spent a lot of time talking to people that I consider to be the experts in college baseball. And I'm talking about head coaches, former head coaches, talking heads in the athletic community, people who follow college baseball every day. And when I had those conversations, Chris Lemonis' name came up every single time. You know, a good friend of mine sent me a quote, and I think this is really appropriate here, and this comes from Steve Jobs. A lot of people might think this came from Henry Ford as well, but Steve Jobs, who's a pioneer in many, many ways, said this. He said, you know, you don't want to provide people with what they want. You want to provide them with what they're going to need, even if they don't know they're going to need it. We're going to need this guy, and he's going to lead this program for a long period of time. Chris Lemonis is a recruiting machine. Every time his name is mentioned from coast to coast, folks will say, well, that's the best recruiter in the country. When you look at what he did at the Citadel, where young men have to get up every morning and march in uniform, what he did as a player, what he did as a coach there, what he was a part of, pretty remarkable stuff. But his recruiting prowess everywhere he's been is the first thing people talk about with Chris Lemonis. But I think that underscores the fact that he is a brilliant baseball tactician as well. And all he's ever done in the 3 programs that he has been a part of at the collegiate Division I level is win, win, and win. At the University of Indiana, he has led the Indiana Hoosiers to 3 regionals in the last 4 years. Keep this in mind. In their 100-plus year history of baseball, when he got there, they had been to 3 regionals in 100-plus years. He's been to 3 in the last 4. Pretty special stuff. At Louisville, you can't even explain what he was the architect of. He brought first and second round talent, a bunch of them, to a place that had never seen first and second round talent. He's been to the College World Series as a coach 3 times, and he helped architect a 4th trip to the College World Series for Louisville the year after he left, because every player on their field was recruited by Chris Lemonis. He played in a College World Series at the Citadel in 1990. I know that because I played the 1990 College World Series for Mississippi State, and the whole time I'm thinking, how in the heck, and nothing against the Citadel, Chris, how in the heck did these guys get here? Once I met Chal Port, the legendary Chal Port, who Chris had the honor of playing for, and once I got the chance to really visit with Chris, I'm like, okay, I know how they got here. These guys work at it. They get players they probably shouldn't get. They put in the extra hours to get to the highest level of college baseball. As a hitting instructor and game manager, I think Chris is one of the best in the entire country, and he is going to surround himself, in my opinion, with the best coaching staff, the best recruiting staff, the best supplemental staff of any staff in the entire country, because that's what this program deserves. It's what this program demands. As Dr. Keenum just mentioned, this program is all about championships. Briefly, I just want to reiterate what Dr. Keenum said, and by the way, it's a privilege to work for him every day at this great university. He is by far and away the best president in America. And I don't know how many people realize that, but he just does an incredible job here every day. But I do want to recognize Chris's wife, Jill, and Marissa, and Kenzie for being here. I know it's an incredibly important day for their family. It's an incredible day, important day for our family as well. But after saying all that, I want to introduce you to the 18th head baseball coach at Mississippi State University, Mr. Chris Lemonis. I also want to tell you that Dr. Keenum spent very valuable time this morning teaching Chris how to use one of these right here. And I know he knows how to use this. And we're going to hold this up because I think it fits him pretty good right there. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Sounds good. All I could think about was, does it get any better than this? I know I didn't realize it was so hot in Mississippi. Put an offensive lineman in a suit, but if I was the AD, I'm showing off this park. It's the nicest facility in the country. We spent some time last night, and I know John probably thought I was quiet, but it was hard to talk as you walk through facilities and realized what opportunity you have to coach and work in this unbelievable ballpark that was built. It's been a whirlwind for the last probably 48 hours for me and my family. I got notes. I got to take notes because my head's been going in a million different directions, calling recruits or players or everything else. But I can't tell you how excited we are to be here. As a college baseball coach, but as a fan, Mississippi State's a pinnacle job. I mean, it's just we're so excited to be here. You don't get here without people, and I'll go over some of the people that have helped us, and I'll do it quick because I know everybody's sweating, but we'll, I had a chance to meet with Dr. Keenum this morning, and, man, we had a great breakfast and a great talk, and what made the Mississippi State great, I'm picking his brain. I did learn how to use the cowbell. That was part of our teaching, but I really appreciate the opportunity to be here, and everything else has been great for us. John, we've spent a lot of time on the phone the last couple days and talking. The opportunity to be here is we appreciate it. I promise you, we're going to work hard and take advantage of that opportunity. And his wife Nell has been awesome. Everybody has put their arms around my family since they've been here, and we really appreciate it. That's some of the hardest pieces when you take a new job is your family and moving, and we really appreciate that from you. My mom and dad, I'm the only Greek coach in the country, so I'll probably get emotional. It's good and bad. So I'll yell at umpires, but then I get, emotional. I get emotional with our guys. But when I talk about my mom and dad, my dad was a state grad. So, and he was an engineer here, and I went to school on an engineering scholarship, and he, about 3 weeks in, I said, Dad, I don't want to be an engineer. And he wasn't real happy because you had to give the scholarship back. So I went from EE to PE real quick, and I'm sure he was real proud. But I wanted to be a coach. I love the game. And my dad's really happy now because he comes to all my games and watches all my games. And if I'd have been an engineer, he wouldn't have anything to do, to sit on the couch with my mom. But, man, I love them, and they'll be here a lot. They're so excited we're down here. They were in tears when I called them. Yeah. I haven't been back to Starkville probably in 46 years. They were here, married housing, going to school, and I was probably 1 or 2 years old at the time. So it's nice to be back, and it's a big piece. My mom just kept talking about what an experience they had here and what a neat part of life. And as a parent, when you have young kids, it is a neat part, and they are just ecstatic to be a part of the community again. My wife here, my beautiful wife, I couldn't do it without her. If anybody knows the coaching business, man, your wife is the rock. She's raised 2 beautiful daughters. My oldest, Marissa, she's a Gamecock, but she looks good in our colors. I mean, she's and you'll appreciate this. Even if she's at another SEC school, she said everybody she told when she went to college she wanted SEC football and palm trees. So she got that in South Carolina, but. And then my youngest daughter, Kenzie, she's a senior in high school, and she's been, she's looking around. They'll probably stay there for the year, but we're going to try to get her here is our point. So we got to do a good visit and a good sell. But and then Marissa's boyfriend, Dan's with us. Their flight got canceled last night, so they drove through the night so they could be here. And, man, I really appreciate you bringing them. Just a couple quick ones, and I know thank yous take a while. I had a chance to play for two great head coaches, Chalport, who was in the Hall of Fame. He's no longer with us. And Fred Jordan, who was my mentor, played for him, coached for him, and was there for me. He just recently retired at the Citadel, and I'm just so thankful to play with him. My group I've learned at every spot. My Citadel was my grinder spot. You'd recruit 10 kids, and you wouldn't get one. And you'd ask them where they were going. They say, Coach, we don't have any offers, but we're not going there. But you just had to learn and keep working. You had to keep grinding. You had to keep moving forward. And it was a great place. I'm so thankful for my time at the Citadel. I did get to coach at Louisville with an awesome staff. My best friend's the head coach. That was a mentorship for me. All the guys on the staff is an unbelievable job. And when we jumped in there and took that job over, they had been to like one regional, I think, and you look up and see where that program's at now. And building that program, man, was one of the funnest times of my life. And my last piece is Indiana. Fred Glass, the AD there, gave me all the support, gave me my first head coaching job, which I'll never forget. And all the staff and administrators and players and coaches. The 4 years there were huge for me to be a head coach and be in this position because the Big Ten's not an easy league, maybe not SEC, but you deal with weather, you deal with travel, you deal with a lot of different things. That a head coach, I think it really matured me over time and prepared me. But lastly, and I am a recruiter, John spoke about it, it's about the kids. And I've had a chance to coach a lot of great kids over time. My phone has blown up over the last 2 days, like you can imagine, and so many old players have reached out. And you're not standing here in my job if it wasn't for the players. And that's a big piece, and I'm looking forward to building that relationship with our group that we have here. I spoke to the team last night. It's a different dynamic. I don't know if anybody's ever taken over a team 2 days after they got eliminated from the Final Four in Omaha. And man, our guys they've had a rough year, but they had an unbelievable finish. And man, they attracted the nation, like I told them. And we're going to celebrate those guys, and we're going to celebrate that team. Gary Henderson and that staff, to keep that team together and keep them playing was a remarkable job. And what happened that last month of the season will help us as we move forward in the future, as we build tradition. And that experience, those guys will help us next year. We talked about going to Omaha. And I told them, I know the feeling. And you get back, you got the Omaha hangover. You're pissed because it's over, and it was such a magical ride. But the reality is, you're waking up, and the 2019 season's already started. And our guys will get a couple days off, and then they'll start heading out to summer baseball or jump in the weight room and get going. And I try not to be too rah-rah or do too much. I know these guys have heard a lot. But my goal is to build that relationship with those guys one day at a time. And I feel like I'm a good relationship coach. I enjoy coaching my guys. They're never perfect, so we'll deal with things. But I'm looking forward to that part as much as anything of joining this team. As a recruiter, we're going to jump out there and try to find the best players for us. I've found over time a lot of my high draft picks that we had, they weren't the five-star recruit. I've never recruited with something like this. I recruited with, you had to wear a uniform and shave your head, and then I recruited as a Big East school, and I recruited as a Big Ten school. So, man, to have the opportunity to recruit at this, I'm glad to be in the SEC because I haven't liked the SEC as a coach on the other side for years. So, when you're at Louisville, you got a team down the road, and you just didn't like them. So, no offense, Coach. So, I know you were there, but it's true. And so you got that opportunity to recruit. But for me, the baseball's one piece, the makeup's the other piece. And I've talked to Coach Gautreaux, who's staying on with us and doing our recruiting. That's a big piece to me, is to get the right fit. And the second piece of the program that we take a lot of pride in, and you piece that together, is player development. And my goal with the guys, and they'll know, their development is the most important thing to me. They want to play pro ball. And I want them to play in the big leagues. I'm not as much fan of, I like the minor leagues, but everything we're doing is we're trying to prepare them to be a big. There's not a guy in that clubhouse that don't want to play professionally, and as a coaching staff, it's our job to help them get there. I challenge them, though. I say player development. I know what they're thinking, and I said this in my meeting. they're thinking all about their swing. And my piece of the development is the whole man. It's being great in the community. It's being a great teammate. It's being great in the classroom. I think those things are all related. I really do, and I take a lot of pride in it, and they'll hear it from me every day because, I'm coaching guys who are going to be future husbands, future fathers. Baseball will be over at some point in time, and I see it now because my phone's blown up the last couple of days, but these guys will have impacts all over the world. And so I want to make sure I don't cheat them, and that's something that bothers me. I want to make sure they get the great experience there. The last piece is we're going to put them in a system that's had a lot of success at the highest level of college baseball. It's not rocket science. We're not building anything special. We're playing baseball. And baseball is the working man's game. You show up every day, you punch the clock, you get after it, and you play hard. And, man, if you can't play hard in this program, which they do, I mean, I watching those guys on TV, but John had sent me about a bunch of numbers today. It looked like an NL All-Star team that I got on my phone of people who had played here and come here before you. And, man, you play for that respect of your tradition, and you play hard. When you put this jersey on, man, you have to play hard for the guys that played before you. One last thing, and I had to get on one of the players on my very first meeting. And I hated to do it, but Elijah McNamee told everybody in the locker room after the last game that we were winning the national championship next year. So I told Elijah, thanks, as the new coach, I really appreciate the standard you just set. And Doc said it too. There's, no pressure, so I get that side. But that's the expectation, and we won't be scared to talk about playing for a national championship. That's just that's what you want here. I know it ain't easy. It's hard to win a regional. It's hard to win a super regional. It's a tough grind in the SEC. But that's what we're gearing for. Our dreams are big. I want our kids to dream big. And I joked with him, but he was sincere and he was passionate, and I love that. I want our guys to be passionate. I'll end with this. I asked our guys a question, trying to trick them in the meeting. And I said, why Mississippi State? Why Mississippi State? Why'd you pick Mississippi State? And I don't even know all their names. That's bad. But, hey, I'm a fan, Coach. I grew up as a fan. One guy threw out, SEC. Another guy threw out, man, these are the best facilities, man, you got in the country. And one player, and I still haven't figured out who it was, said, this is home. Man, that hit me right between the eyes. I was looking for national championship. But that's what it is here at Mississippi State. It's home. And we represent the university, and they are such a big part of the university. I just thought it was a huge statement from a kid who, man, these guys take so much pride in playing for their fans. And we'll do everything we can to play hard and to make you proud. And we'll get after and put a great product on the field. And I can tell you this, my family's happy to call Starkville home. Thank you.
Coach David Murray, Jeans Page 24/7. First, do you remember John Kohler from that 1990 World Series? And then
John was a player and I wasn't, so no, I don't.
And secondly, have you already been in touch with the you talk about 2 days from Omaha. You're also 2 weeks after the draft. Have you got in touch with both the current players drafted and the prospects?
We're working on it. That's a big piece right now. It's just been such a whirlwind, and we're talking to, we'll be on the phone all afternoon. And, man, our assistant coaches have been out there talking. That's item number one after we finish today.
Brett Hudson, the Commercial Dispatch in Columbus. You've done this before, but you're taking over a team that's expected to win now and win big now. How do you kind of install your culture and what you want the program to look like under your leadership while also preserving enough to keep it where it is at the moment?
Well, it's been a piece with, especially with hiring assistant coaches, and it's a continuity piece. I wanted to have a little continuity in there with the staff, but also I'll bring in some new people. But our system, we're going to jump out there in fall and put our system in place. And like I said, it's not crazy. We may call something different, a different drill, but it's going to be baseball. And we're just going to jump out there and get ready. we got a good team coming back. We feel excited for them. We got to figure out a couple things, but it's the game of baseball, and I'm just going to coach them and put them in our system and, man, make them feel like $1 million because, confidence is a big key in this game.
Joel Coleman, Starfield Daily News. I know you'd mentioned keeping Jake on staff and things. Do you have a timeline and things for kind of completing your staff and where that'll go?
Not right now. I mean, we're just working on it. It has been a whirlwind. I mean, been a fast 48 hours, but we'll work on it. We'll put, and we're committed to putting the best people in those jobs.
Coach Courtney Robb, WCBI News. You were turning an Indiana team that was great into even better, but why was this the right time and place for you to come here?
It was tough. I mean, I really enjoyed my time in Indiana, but I kind of compare it to Indiana because Indiana has Indiana basketball, and this is, Mississippi State baseball. And if you're in the business and you want to reach your goals, I mean, I said it to the team yesterday, I wake up every day and my feet hit the floor and I want to go to Omaha. And that's what motivates me and gets me up. And I just, that was the reason. And you got a better opportunity to go there from here.
What was the decision-making process to keep Coach Gautreaux?
I spoke to John. I watched the games. You can see it in the buy-in from the kids with Coach. I talked to him. That was a big piece. And I've known Jake for years. As a recruiter, you're out there and you see each other and a lot of mutual friends. But I felt like that continuity was going to be huge for us, for our team. Recruited some tremendous – we got some guys coming in. Recruits, during a process like this, man, they get nervous. And I don't blame them because it's somebody new. I just left the team yesterday. They're nervous. I'm joining a team. They're probably nervous. And that's my goal, to reach out and start building that relationship.